Welcome to the Star Zone. I'm Patty Spagnuolo. From resource fairs geared towards our students to arts and entertainment aimed to connect with our community, Lansing Community College hosts many events throughout the year, and the Star Zone gives you a rundown on what's on the way, where it's happening, and how you can get into the zone at LCC. Hello. On today's show, I have Graham Berke. Graham is the Systems and Operations Manager of the Transfer Center here at LCC. Full disclosure, Graham and I have worked together since 2008. Our operation has changed a bit. We moved to the Gannon building last May, and boy, it feels like we've barely had a chance to catch our breath. Fun fact, we're both proud graduates of LCC, and we both used our credits to go on and get a 4-year degree and then get our master's degrees. So I'm sharing that because I think it's important to know that we do come with that experience. We have some personal knowledge of how that process works. And even though every situation is different, we can still sort of feel what the students go through. So welcome, Graham.
Oh, thank you so much for having me today, Patty. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Awesome. Graham is here to highlight one of my favorite events, and that is the Transfer Fair. Graham, we've talked a lot about it, and I can't remember for the life of me, is it the 11th annual or the 12th annual? Is it the 13th? Where are we at here?
Sure. So this would be our 12th annual. It's the 11th annual Transfer Fair. We took 1 year off for COVID. So I can't believe it's already the 11th Transfer Fair, and we're looking forward to another very big, very well-attended year.
Awesome. What can you tell us, what should we expect on the day of the fair?
Sure. So students can expect a lot. We're going to have representatives from over 25 universities and colleges. And one thing I tell students to, prepare some questions. Expect that they're there to help you. The representatives are there to help you. And they're prepared to answer pretty much any question that you have. So even if you're not prepared, or you may not think you're prepared to transfer, it's always smart to get ahead of it. Plan early, plan often, and expect to have a good time and expect to talk to a lot of great representatives from schools.
Our event is on March 20th from 2 to 5 p.m. in the second floor of the Gannon building. Mm-hmm. How does this year's fair compare to any other fairs that we have had?
Sure. So I think typically we try to have 20 to 25 colleges and universities. This year's a little bigger. We're actually looking at 29 schools. Last year we had about 200 students that attended, and we're already on track to be a little bit above that this year. So a little bit more schools, a little bit more activity, and it's just been such a good event every single year that I think it's something that I look forward to, something that I recommend to my friends, my family, any students that I work with, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. If a student, doesn't know exactly where they want to go, or maybe they think they do know where they want to go, this is an opportunity to say, well, let me look at my other options, or let me look and see what else is out there. Let me ask questions that I may not have even considered to ask, before that day, because you're going to hear a lot of other students talking, hear a lot of representatives talking about other things, and it's a great event to learn what you don't know.
If I recall when we were talking before about the fair, you have several schools that are having more than one table, especially the larger schools, which means they're bringing specific people to talk on certain programming. If I remember, MSU has a table strictly for nursing. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of fill in what a couple of those, more particular programming tables are? Sure.
So yeah, some of the larger schools will have multiple tables, and that way they can bring different people to help with different questions. Nursing's a great example. The nursing application process, the admission process is a little bit different than their general applications. So if you have specific questions for specific programs, they can help out. They'll also have a representative from their business college. Central Michigan will have multiple representatives as well, one for online and one for main campus. And then the University of Michigan will have 3 tables this year as well, which is a little more than we had last year for schools with multiple tables. But we found that not only will it help cut down on the lines, but it'll help students get answers faster. So if you are a student looking to find a specific table, look at the tablecloth, see what school is set up which. They'll all help you. They'll all answer your questions and get you, the information that you need. But if you're specifically looking for a nursing school or a different college from that university, keep an eye out and get in that line to talk to that representative.
And of course, they have the general admissions folks there as well. So if you don't even have that, you're not even sure really what program, you can still talk to the general admissions folks. One of the things I wanted to ask is, this is an important event for students to really sort of I kind of call it like shopping around. Like they might go from table to table and, hey, what can you get me for my credits kind of a thing. Like how many are you going to take? So that's usually what's on everybody's mind. Speak a little bit about that, but also is this fair beneficial for students who think they know where they're going and why would this be helpful for them?
Sure. That's a great question. I tell students that once they kind of identify a program that they're interested in, and it's great if you feel very strongly towards a certain school and you're very convinced, that's great. I'm happy for those students, but just because you're sold on one or two schools, you might not realize that other schools has that program that you're interested in. So I tell students to always work backwards, identify the program that you want, and then start doing a little more exploration on what schools offer that. Because every student's different. Every student's going to have a different scenario, different list of needs and what works for them. So it's definitely beneficial for students who may already know what they want, just to confirm some of the things, the application dates, put a face to a name. You may have already been working with some of the colleges, but this will give you a chance to come meet that person that maybe you've only been emailing or texting. So it's absolutely beneficial for every student. Students that, all the way at the beginning, maybe they're very early in their academic career and they're not really sure what direction to go, all the way to students who are very further along and more confident in their decision. I think it's helpful for all of the students to come to this event.
Do you think there are students that actually, like, they do think they're on a certain trajectory and then they go to that fair and they talk to some other school and then they go, oh, I didn't know that, or I didn't know the specifics, or they talk to the school they think they're going to and find out maybe they're not capable of going to that school. So, it's kind of a mixed bag of tricks, I feel like.
Absolutely. I see that a lot. People's lives change. Your needs change. Maybe something comes up or you get a job in another city that you weren't prepared to, and now you're really excited, and you've got to say, hey, well, maybe my plans change a little bit. So it's good to make those connections with all sorts of different schools and reps. But yeah, people's paths change, and that's okay. I tell students that all the time when they come in the transfer center and say, oh, last year I was very committed to this program, but a lot has changed. And I said, that's great. We'll help you. We'll get you, the information that you need. So that happens a lot at the transfer fair. And like I said, just getting some business cards, getting some of that contact info, save it, put it in your folder for next time is always smart.
What are some things we have in place at LCC to assist students? And what are the key elements you think that students should be looking at when they're thinking about transferring?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the individual's needs. One thing that we work on a lot at the transfer fair and the transfer center is working with students to figure out where they are in their path and what's important to them. The resources we have on campus, there's a few I want to highlight. The first one, even if you can't make it to this event, I hope you do, but if you can't make it to this event, I would tell most students, go to our website, lcc.edu/transfer. There's a form called the Transfer Success Form on our website. And what that does is that lets us see where you are in your academic journey, and it lets us kind of see how can we help the student in ways that they might not know exist. So there's a lot of resources on campus. Some students ask, should I be working with an LCC academic advisor, or should I be working with my success coach, or should I be working with the transfer center? The answer to all three of those, yes, use all the resources that we have. That's very smart, because the more perspective you get from the resources on campus, the better decision you will make. I tell students that all the time. The way that you formulate your decisions can only benefit from using those resources.
That's a good point. And one of the things that, we're all really good about knowing when to hand a student off to whichever entity is required at that moment. Mm-hmm. Especially, I think, like with the success coaches, knowing when a student maybe, has that struggling, and we know, hey, to involve, a group that's outside of what we really do. I think transfer is such a big piece for students, because there's going to be those students that they want all online. And then there's the students that they want to go live on campus. And I think that's a little bit more rare these days, but we still come across students, they want that campus experience. They want to get involved in the campus life. And, and those are typically, the students that came right out of high school, they're finishing up at LCC and they're going to go on. What would you say to students, like, thinking about that? Like, what should really be those factors that they're going to consider in terms of a school, and whether or not online is even an option or living on campus is an option?
Right. I think that comes down to once you identify what program you want, to look at those universities and see how they offer it. Some programs are going to be heavy into the hybrid side. Some programs are going to be heavy face-to-face, or you might have options, all the above options. So I think it comes down to the program first. Identify what you really want to study, what degree you want. I mean, this is your life. This is a major decision. Once you kind of identify that, and then start looking at those schools and how they offer it. I applaud anyone who wants to live on campus, and I applaud anyone who wants to be completely online. I think they're both very valid, effective methods. It's just what the student really wants. I do see some students don't realize this until maybe they get on campus, or maybe they get into their first full semester or their second full semester, and they say, maybe I can take a few hybrids. I don't want to lean 100% into the face-to-face. Talk with your advisors from those schools to make sure that you'll have those options. And that's the most important part, because just because you think, I 100% I want face-to-face for every single class, you might get 30 or 40 or 50 more credits in and change your mind. That's important. And just reflect on it. What do you want out of your experience? If you're already working a job, or you have other commitments in your life, maybe you're okay being completely online and taking those programs and not really stepping on foot of the main campus. That's up to you. So again, an excellent opportunity to come and talk to those representatives who live it every single day from those schools, and they hear those questions all the time. But I like to drive home the point to a lot of students we work with. You don't have to pick your exact program of study today or tomorrow, but the sooner you kind of pick that program, the better we can help, the better the representatives can help, and you can line yourself up for a better transfer process if you do.
Awesome. And you did talk about, so for us, for the Transfer Center, the first step is the Transfer Success Form, and you can find that on our website. And then from there, they can make an appointment, right, with the transfer specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. And then, hey, you're on your journey. One of the things I didn't mention is that this is the second year that we are hosting this with the Job and Internship Fair. You want to talk a little bit about that, just briefly?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really works well having that event together, because we see a lot of students who are interested in internships or jobs, and they also want to transfer. So it really makes sense, logistically, to have. They're going to be on the first floor. If you're familiar with the Gannon Commons, the Job and Internship Fair will be on the first floor. Over 70 employers, which I'm blown away to say the 70 of those employers will be on campus, which is fantastic. And then the transfer fair portion will be on the second floor of Gannon. So they work really well together. We got great feedback last year. We had a lot of students say, I specifically came here for both events. We had a few students say, I was only interested in one or the other. Either way, the overwhelming majority at least checked out both areas. Some students spend a lot of time downstairs. Some students will spend more time upstairs. That's fine. It's a long event. It's 3 hours. So even if you're not specifically looking for either one, check it out. Walk around. Gannon Building is beautiful. It's a great area to kind of hang out in. At least check out both events for a half hour or an hour each, and hopefully you can find what you're looking for.
I think it's kind of a neat opportunity because the two events can sort of feed off one another. Like a student who's here for the transfer fair might mosey on down and then find out what is really required for their jobs, and then know, I do need a 4-year degree, or I do need at least this credential. Or, the other side of it is a student might wander down there and find out, hey, there's an internship available. I can work and go to school. So it's just a really neat way, and I'm glad that that seems to be our pattern right now, is we're teaming up, and the more the merrier.
I agree.
So,
absolutely. And some programs require internships. So if you're talking to some of those program advisors and they say, if you transfer, in the fall, maybe you do want to get one of those business cards from those people that are doing internships, because you can line it up so you can do both at the same time. Yeah, they work great. It's a great event.
That's an awesome point. Graham, I want to thank you for organizing this event, because it's a lot of work, and I want to thank you for being on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Patty.
Again, that's the Transfer Fair on March 20th from 2 to 5 p.m. on the second floor of the Gannon Building. You can find the details at lcc.edu/calendar. We hope to see you at the fair. Wishing you well, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on the Star Zone. For more information on this episode, visit lccconnect.org. You can also find a complete list of Lansing Community College events by visiting lcc.edu/calendar. Until next time, thanks for getting into the zone.